Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Biedrzycki, and welcome to Politics in Chester. I'm filling in this political season for Carl Knudsen. He developed this program and wrote all the questions. Joe Castricone and Kat are our producers in the booth. And today I'm talking with Dana Theokas, who's up for re-election to the Select Board here in Chester.
That's right.
Welcome, and thank you for the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here with us.
Now, there are 4 candidates on the ballot for selectmen, and 2 will be elected, correct?
That's right.
But you're coming around for a second term. What in the world possessed you to do that?
As a friend says, we are the 5 most questionable people in town. But it's
Questioned or questionable?
Oh, both. It's a great opportunity to represent our community and get to know a little bit about every little piece, all the people that we represent, and what is they're passionate about, and how we can help connect them to what will make our community stronger.
Now, we've only met once before, and I know nothing about you prior to being a select person. So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I moved to Chester in 2012 or 14. You'd have to ask my husband. He's the one that knows things. I work in finance. I'm able to work at home, which is great for me. I get to be around, hop over to the places for lunch, go to the Old Post, pick my kids up at school. My youngest child is at Chester Academy for 1 more year. And I have always loved politics, local politics, transportation planning, the way that communities and the infrastructure works. Those are my hobbies.
What caused you to want to run in the first place? And then I'll ask you about the second place.
Right? The first place, I started in the school board. I did 1 term there, but education really wasn't my passion. I'm more interested in the broader community, so what the police and fire, infrastructure, planning, zoning, all of those pieces that come together to make our community work. I feel like the school board has a very specific population that they work with, and then the select board works with everyone. So
why you? What makes you a good candidate for select board?
First off, as you had said, I have the most experience out of the candidates. I'm just rounding out my first term, which it's eye-opening. There's so much to it. And I think that's important for all of the candidates to have experience across the boards in our community, specifically with our budgeting, which is looking at our finite resources and how can we meet the needs of the most of our citizens with that very, very finite amount of money. So to really say it's my experience and then my openness, you can come to me, tell me what you're concerned with. I'll try to connect you with the people and that can help explain what you're trying to accomplish or help you get there.
And how does that translate into a benefit for the town?
Well, I was able to get you here to interview me today.
Very influential.
No, I'm kidding. Really, a lot of town politics is knowing people and understanding what levers need to be pulled in order to accomplish a task. It's incredibly more complicated than it seems, and there are so many people that are working behind the scenes to make this run. And so the longer you're involved in the town, the more people you know, the better you understand why things can or can't work. And so I've spent that time and I've invested into myself, into all of you, and I would love this chance to do it again.
Some people think all there is to being a select board member is going to the Thursday night meetings. There's a lot more homework involved, and as you've said, you're out in the community a lot talking to people. How was your attendance record on your first term?
Good. I have missed a couple meetings. You can't be everywhere all the time, but it's going not only Thursday nights. That's the challenge. We're also currently represent different boards throughout the community. I'm the liaison for the public access community television. So part of my role is to support the mission of the television studio, which they do a great work, but also to talk to the community members when they have challenges, when they're not able to get through to the community television group. And so my role is to remove those roadblocks. So we go to a lot of additional meetings above and beyond our Thursday meetings. And certainly being in town is helpful, but it's at least 1 or 2 additional nights a week that we spend doing a good job or being here.
It kind of sounds like juggling beach balls in the wind. How do you balance that with running a family?
I mentioned my husband. He knows a lot of things, and I appreciate him. Sorry. It's keeping a schedule, valuing the people that you are working with, and really it's the other boards that do so much of the work. You know, my job is just to listen to them, hear the work that they're doing, and bring that back to the greater board and the select board. And then in those Thursday meetings, we're really speaking to the community, because there's a huge number of people that watch our meetings, because they come up to me afterwards and say, I heard you, and thank you for speaking up for me, or how dare you say that? That's absurd. But it's important that they're participating, and that's the best part.
Did you take the training when you first came on the board that the New Hampshire Municipal Association offers?
Absolutely. New Hampshire Municipal Association offers so many different trainings. They have a quarterly booklet that they put out. They have other trainings that you can sign up for. So I've taken a hard road. There's so many trainings, I don't know their specific names, but it's certainly...
So you continue to?
I continue to. The one about...
That's a good thing.
Not making decisions in email and the right to know. Those are the most important, really, because our role is to be transparent. And so understanding the rights of the citizens and how we make decisions in public is what we want to do. We want to be transparent, and that's what the New Hampshire Municipal Association trainings do. They teach us how to do our jobs better.
One of the big constituencies of the select board are the people who work for the town.
Yes.
How were you able to forge relationships with them in your first term?
What I did, you got to go in and make your face seen. So come and talk to people, see what their concerns are, just like your citizens and your different boards. I'm not able, I do have a full-time job, so that's really a lot of what eats my time in addition to my family. But just coming in and saying hi and getting out, where I'm not keeping them from doing their jobs. Their job isn't to entertain me, it's to serve the citizens, and then to tell me what I need to do to make their jobs easier.
You mentioned being the liaison to the PACT here.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other departments or committees that you have an interest in helping out, or being the middle person between them and the board?
Absolutely. I've worked with the police department. I've worked with the fire department. I've worked with recreation, building inspector. I was part of the hiring committee to bring on our newest building inspector, who has done a great job assessing. Every department that you spend time with, you learn more about what they do and why they're so critical. Really, I would be remiss to say the tax clerk and the town clerk and tax collector is another board that I work with, or department, and they do such great work in that office. So really, the only ones I'm missing right now are finance and the town administrator. And
Maybe you'll get them in the next cycle.
Yes.
Is there one big thing that's either on the select board's agenda right now, or not yet on the agenda, that you think the town needs to address?
Go ahead.
And what would your proposed solution to that issue be?
As I see it, we have 2 major challenges ahead of us. Certainly, the fire department, we are trying to grow that department from the 1 to 2 employees that they currently have with on-call and per diem associates, but it's not something that we can grow overnight. Our police department has taken a decade to go from 16 hours of service to 24 hours of service. And we can't just flip the switch with the fire department and make that same change. One, the cost would be astronomical. And two, we just don't have the finances. And you can't, I don't think that you can bring on 4 or 5 people and make sure that you're maintaining the culture in a very short period of time. So the fire department, certainly looking at what a strategic plan to build them up. That would be what I think our number 1 priority. And then number 2 and 3 would be the maintenance of our existing investments, like this building, our parking lot here. Like, how are we using the capital that we've invested in over the last 50 or 100 years? And how do we really shine that up and make the most use of it? So between the planning to spread our use across our facilities and then maintain those facilities and really look at how do we budget that out over 10 or 15 years. And that would bring me to the third one, our roads. Like, we've definitely let several of our roads deteriorate to a point where they are barely passable. And we're looking at our neighborhood roads versus our through roads. And it's those through roads I think we should prioritize, like Lane Road, Candia Road, Harantis Lake, Wells Village. These roads, Fremont, sorry, are just, they're in dreadful shape, and it's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of time. Like, if we can stagger out those maintenance over 20 years so that we don't have 10 roads that are in this poor of shape that need to be fixed in a 5-year period, we'll be able to maintain it, and we will maybe have 1 road that's in really bad shape instead of 7 or 10.
So that's all old business. Mm-hmm. Don't the select board members also have the opportunity to start new initiatives? What's something you'd like to instigate?
My pet project is certainly improving our communication, like reaching our audience through the many different mediums where they're comfortable at. It's heartbreaking to know the amount of work that people put into talking about initiatives that we do and events, and then to be lambasted for lack of transparency and not getting the message out when we're trying. Like, the employees, the boards, they are trying, and we're just not landing with our audience. And so I had started a short initiative with our outgoing town administrator and our town clerk tax collector. But now that we have our new staff in town a little more settled, picking that initiative back up. So that's number 1. And then number 2 would be looking at our strategic land use. We've spent a lot of time and money protecting sensitive, fragile areas because we are the headwaters of the Exeter River, and water is critical to our success over the next 50 years to live in a tiny community that doesn't have water infrastructure. And so we've done an excellent job of protecting very fragile water areas. But we need to now look at what other properties do we have in town and how can we use them the best? Like, do we have the sporting facilities? Is the police department growing out of its little place, and we can't get people to use this back part of this building because we don't have, one, it goes past the police department, and we don't have parking. And so looking at, again, all of that buildings and infrastructure that we own, and how do we best utilize it? And if we need to buy more property, where and what for? Like, let's be very specific in our communication about what it is that we're trying to accomplish.
All of that, requires money, which brings us to the budgeting process and how the town's boards interact with each other. What have you learned about those 2 functions in your first term?
That is very likely why we are the most questionable people in town. We've been so fortunate over the last several years to have so many dedicated citizens participating in the budget cycle and the budget committee specifically, really looking to learn more about why it costs so much and what measures that we can do to improve our budgeting, our processes internally, our staffing, and then also pushing us to make the difficult decisions of what do you actually need to adjust down. So we've been very fortunate as a community. We've saved a lot of money over the last 10, 15 years after having paid down our debt. And now we've just been investing over that time. But this year, over the past couple years, as the economy's not been as flush, we have spent down some of our savings, and we'll likely do that again this year. And so just finding that right balance of what are we saving for and what is appropriate for us to take from our savings and spend.
And what is the select board's influence on, or influence, or how do they administrate the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program?
We work with our department heads to determine what is it in your strategic plan to move forward. Like, what is it that why do you need this specific thing, and what measure is it going to benefit the community? And then really the planning board does the hard work of trying to create Table 10, which shows all of our main departments and their 7-year projects spread out. The select board's role is really to work with the departments that say this is an emergency we didn't anticipate, and we need it to be moved forward. Like, it's our job to work with that department or the board to understand, why is it an emergency? Were we planning for it? What other options do we have to either pay for this, spread it out? Do we have an alternative? Or do we need to bite the bullet and move something forward?
How comfortable are you personally working with municipal operations and financing?
It is my love.
It's an awesome responsibility. I could
really
understand
is.
if you had any trepidation.
Yeah. It is really difficult to say no to people, obviously. But when we're looking at that incredible list of needs and trying to balance, like, we can't pave this road if we do this, like, and so how do you find that balance? And trying to explain that balance to people is the most critical part. And if you want both things, we're going to have to increase your taxes, and you might be okay with that, but this person isn't. So how can we soften the blow for someone else?
You mentioned communications before too, and beyond the town meeting, and the fact that the public is welcome at select board meetings. Mm-hmm. How do you get the public more involved in what the select board does?
The $1,000 question right there. So recently I was part of the master plan. And so a lot of that was communication, and so it's working with our public access community television because, as I said, people do watch it, trying to put out those short, bite-sized bits that people can digest, and is palatable. Really finding the people that are your promoters, because they are the ones that will tell their friends and tell their friends and tell their friends. And so the other tools of using the town sign or sending out emails, it all exists. We are a small community, so if you reach out to your friends, that's typically the best avenue. I have a friend who said, I don't actually know much about this, but I know that you do, and if you're the one that says it's what we should do, then I trust in you, and so I can support that. And so it is a lot of that, like figuring out who's passionate about what and understanding and helping them tell their story so that we can better understand why they are proponents of it and then move that forward.
Is there anything, excuse me, that I didn't ask you about that you want to make a closing statement about?
Absolutely. I want to know when you're going to run.
Not in the immediate future. We have other priorities right now.
Absolutely. It's, as I said, public service is not for everyone, but it's an important piece. I think there are so many areas for people to serve. I love the select board. It's something that, I've invested my time into learning this role, and hopefully you see it in the videos that you watch, in when you see me around town. But I would say there's always a need for someone to help, and so I implore you, the citizens, to come to town hall, tell us what it is that you need, how you would like to help better serve your community, and that's really our job, is to make this accessible to all of you. So I would love to ask for your support at this upcoming election, and then again at town meeting as we present our budget, what we've worked hard for over this past year.
Thanks, Dana. We've been talking with Dana Theokas, who's a candidate for re-election to the Select Board here in Chester. And we want to remind you that the town election is at the MPR on Tuesday, May 12th. I'm sure Dana and all the other candidates that are running this year, as well as all the people that are existing in positions in town, would urge you to get out and cast your vote. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Election Day, and then the town meeting is 2 days hence on Thursday the 14th, starting at 6 p.m. That too is in the MPR. So thanks for watching this edition of Politics in Chester, and tune in again to meet the other candidates for Select Board and those on the ballot for School Board. Those programs can be seen as scheduled on Chester PACT and Comcast channels 22 and 6. Or anytime you can get them on demand from the PACT website, which is accessible through the Chester Town website. So for Carl Knutson and Public Access Community Television here in Chester, I'm Joe Biedrzycki. Thanks. See you at the polls.